Today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Black Orchestra, a cooperative game that I played for the first time recently at Geekway to the West, thanks to Scott and his son Philip, who graciously brought their copy and taught it to me and a few friends. Black Orchestra is set in the World War II period, and you are basically trying to hunt down Hitler among all the other forces. You're infiltrating Hitler's regime, and you're hunting him down. The game has a lot of really cool mechanisms, but there's one that's really stuck in my head. It was brilliant to use during the game, and I've thought about it a lot since then in terms of other cooperative games and how it could be used. So basically, like in many cooperative games, there's a checklist of actions that you can take on your turn, and you get to take 3 actions. So you can choose from any of those. I think there's like 7 or 8 different actions that you can take, and you can do any of them any number of times, up to 3 times. But the twist is, as one of those actions, you can roll dice. And you have to do them all at once. So I can roll 1 die per action. And so I can say on my turn, okay, I want to take the draw card action. I'll take that once, and then I have 2 actions left. And with those remaining 2 actions, I will roll 2 dice. So it happens all at once. I roll 2 dice. And the reason you want to do this, or that you might want to do this, is that on the dice are the numbers 1, 2, and 3, as well as 2 target symbols and 1, I think it's a Nazi insignia sign. It's a bird. It's a bad thing that you get. So on these dice, there's one side of the die that's bad. It's a bad thing. I won't go into what that means, but it's a bad thing. There are 2 sides that are targets, and the targets are good things that are related to a different mechanism in the game. You don't have a lot of control over what it is, but it's just you get 2 targets, it's a good thing. And then the numbers are what's really interesting to me, paired with those other 2 things, because the numbers result in more actions. So feasibly, at the beginning of my turn, I could say, okay, I'm not going to take any actions for sure. Instead, I'm going to roll these 3 dice and hope I can get more actions from rolling them. So I could use all 3 actions, roll 3 dice, and potentially have 3 on all of them and have 9 actions to spend on my turn. 3 times as many as the number of actions as I regularly would be able to have if I didn't roll dice, which is an incredible gamble and a really, really fun choice to make. I think this works in particular because of the other sides of the dice, because of the targets, which aren't more actions, but they're a good thing, and the risk of rolling a bad thing, paired with the idea that if you don't use those actions to roll the dice, you have certainty. You know for sure you're going to take these actions and you're going to get these 3 actions. So one thing that I was wondering at the beginning of the game as we started to play, I was like, why would you ever just not roll the 3 dice? But there are it's a very tense cooperative game, and there are times in the game where you really need at least 1 or 2 actions for sure. And you just absolutely need them. And so in those instances, and in many of those cases, you absolutely do not need to roll the bad symbol, the bird, because if you roll that, then at certain points in the game, something really bad can happen if it takes you over the top of a certain level. So it really is a great choice throughout the game, but particularly in the mid to late game. Early on in the game, it's a much easier choice to roll those dice, but mid to late, it's a very tense decision. So I really, really like this idea of dice that can potentially give you more actions or can potentially hurt you versus the sure thing, the certain thing of having 3 actions to use on specific things that you need to do that turn. I have not seen this in other games. It might be in other games, but I'm not aware of it. If you've seen it in another game and you want to share your thoughts about it in the comments, I'd love to hear that. If you played Black Orchestra and want to share your comments, I'd love to hear that too. Or if you can think of a similar mechanism like this where there's a risk-reward that results in you getting a much more robust turn if you take the risk, and get that reward, but there is the risk of something bad happening as well. I'd love to hear about that in the comments as well. Thanks.